This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you for joining us. There is new speculation whether President Trump will fire special counsel Robert Mueller. It comes after he remarked that the Russia investigation was a witch hunt over the weekend, and also unloading on fired FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. CBN's Jenna Browder has more on this story for us right now from Washington.
Despite some of President Trump's tweets over the weekend, White House attorney Ty Cobb says the president is not considering firing special counsel Robert Mueller.
If he tried to do that, that would be the beginning of the end of his presidency, because we're a rule of law nation.
Some Republican lawmakers speaking out against the idea Sunday.
Let it play out its course. If you've done nothing wrong, you should want the investigation to be as fulsome and thorough as possible.
The president's tweets and speculation began after Attorney General Jeff Sessions fired FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. McCabe blames Trump and says he was singled out in the aftermath of James Comey's firing. But Representative Trey Gowdy says McCabe has nobody to blame but himself.
It was the FBI who said he made an unauthorized disclosure and then lied about it. That wasn't President Trump. It wasn't me. It wasn't the crazy House Republicans. It was his own fellow FBI agents that said he leaked and then lied about it.
McCabe was fired after internal FBI reports said he leaked to the media that, in Sessions' own words, lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions, adding that all FBI employees know that lacking candor under oath results in dismissal.
So if he's got credibility issues, he needs to look no further than himself.
The Mueller probe is likely far from over, but there are also growing calls for a second special counsel to investigate allegations of abuse in the FBI and Department of Justice. Sessions is considering the possibility. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
And here's a look at some of the other big headlines we're following for you right now in the CBN newsroom. President Trump is calling war on the opioid drug crisis. Part of that plan means stiffer penalties for drug dealers, including the death penalty when appropriate. Another part of the plan, tougher criminal penalties for trafficking fentanyl. According to Bloomberg, the president will travel to New Hampshire Monday to begin to roll out the new plan. A Palestinian terrorist stabbed an Israeli man to death Sunday. The attack happened in Jerusalem's Old City. The victim died of stab wounds in the hospital Sunday evening. The attacker was quickly shot by police during the incident. Russian President Vladimir Putin has won his fourth presidential election. He won with nearly 77% of the votes. Near final results showed that the other 7 candidates were far behind Putin in Sunday's vote. Observers cite widespread ballot stuffing and unprecedented pressure on voters as part of the reason. You can find more in these stories throughout the day at cbnnews.com. 2 people were injured in another explosion in Texas's capital Sunday night. The latest blast occurred around 8:30 in a suburban neighborhood in southwest Austin. 2 men in their 20s were hurt and hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. It was the 4th explosion to rock Austin in less than 3 weeks. The other 3 police say were likely related. Investigators are looking into the incidents as hate crimes since all of the victims were Black or Hispanic. Police are warning residents not to touch any unexpected packages left at their homes. When news first broke of a potential summit between the U.S. and North Korea, reaction ranged from extreme praise to suspicion. But could a conversation between the president and Kim Jong-un end the hostilities between the 2 countries? Experts say we are a long way from that. Our national security correspondent Eric Gonzalez takes a look.
President Trump and Kim Jong-un's attempts to cool down tensions could get an assist from the chilly climate of Sweden. The Scandinavian country is poised to be a target for a potential summit. But the White House says no time or date has been determined. After a combined 17 full-flight missile tests last year, North Korea upped its game last September with its 6th and largest nuclear test to date. That show of force, followed by a surprise olive branch, led many observers to question North Korea's motives. Possible scenarios include the regime wanted to show it's achieved full nuclear capability. To it, buckling under pressure from President Trump's tough economic sanctions. Regardless, experts call for the U.S. to pursue a specific goal.
This first meeting should be keenly focused on the actual steps that North Korea will take to denuclearize and to end its ballistic missile program.
Retired Army Colonel Scott Langenfelter says the U.S. should only move forward with talks if North Korea proves it's serious toward meeting that demand. The former commander who served in South Korea says Kim Jong-un must be open to inspections and physically turning over rocket pieces. Otherwise, no deal.
He can't be trusted, and he has absolutely no record, nor did his father or his grandfather have any record of reliability when it comes to negotiating with the West. I mean, in the six power talks, his father walked away.
North Korea defense experts say the U.S. should not offer anything like oil, food, or money to bring the North to the table.
Back in 2009, the North Koreans actually asked the South Koreans for $10 billion to have a summit. Now, the South Koreans said no, but this is where this could potentially go.
If this denuclearization goal were to be reached, Kazianis says the U.S. would still have a long way to go in Asia.
We have to remember the long-term threat the United States faces. North Korea is part of that, but China is the bigger threat.
Whether it's economics or military force, he says problems with Kim have forced the U.S. to put China on the back burner. Just in case things do not improve, Pentagon top brass tells CBN News U.S. military strength will be on display once again in the waters and in the air off the Korean Peninsula.
Every year we conduct a robust series of exercises with our Korean partners, and I don't think this year will be any different than those that have occurred in the past.
As President Trump said, if the threats continue, North Korea will be met with fire and fury, the likes of which the world has never seen. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, it is one of the biggest issues moms face today, postpartum depression. We're going to break down that story for you coming up in just a minute. And welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Doctors say the #1 problem for new moms is postpartum depression. Unfortunately, many women try to keep the condition a secret. And as Lori Johnson shows us, that can have devastating consequences.
New mothers are often disappointed and even ashamed when feelings about their bundle of joy begin to change.
I felt scared, panicked, just overwhelmed, a feeling of kind of helplessness, you know, like everything's on you.
Dr. Teresa Whibley warns mothers to expect a bumpy ride after childbirth.
I think many women are not prepared for some of the emotional effects of having a baby. It's obviously a very happy time usually for families, but you forget that there are great hormonal changes, there are great changes in family dynamics. Certainly there's huge changes in sleep. And it's really amazing to me that so many women do as well as they do in the postpartum phase.
It's normal to feel sad or scared after giving birth. They're called the baby blues, and 80% of new mothers get them. But if these feelings last longer than 2 weeks, it's likely postpartum depression, which requires professional help for the sake of the mother and the baby.
Children of depressed moms lag behind other children.
And if those mothers don't seek help, it can cause problems for kids, such as delayed language development, difficulty bonding with people, behavioral problems like increased crying, anger, and difficulty regulating their emotions. Psychiatrist Christine Truman says these impairments could last for years.
The interesting thing is that the degree of impairment in the children seems to be related to the duration of the mom's depression. So the longer a mother is depressed, the more likely and the more serious the impairment would be in the child.
About 1 in 5 mothers suffers from postpartum depression. Symptoms include sadness, guilt, or fear, sleeping too much or too little, or having trouble with their memory, concentration, or making decisions. Extreme cases of this depression are known as postpartum psychosis. The most tragic and well-known example of this happened in Texas when Andrea Yates drowned her 5 children. This acute state of postpartum depression occurs in 1 out of 1,000 new mothers.
A mother experiences extreme agitation, extreme mood swings, confusion about what's real, disorientation, disorganized thoughts or speak, and often hallucinations and delusions. It's really an emergency situation.
Many new moms don't realize they have postpartum depression, so it's often up to people around them to recognize the warning signs and urge them to get help. Treatment usually involves talk therapy and antidepressants safe for breastfeeding.
Last month has probably been the happiest month I've had in quite a long time, just because I feel like I'm getting normal again.
Postpartum depression, I mean, it's a biological illness, it's a medical illness. It's not caused by a weak personality, it's not caused by a failure on the mother to do what she's supposed to do. It's a biological illness. So it's not something a mom has any control over.
That's because a pregnant woman's levels of the hormones estrogen and progesterone rise to very high levels. Then, within 24 hours of giving birth, those levels fall dramatically. Although hormones contribute to postpartum depression, so does the environment. For instance, women who live on military bases are at higher risk because they're separated from their extended family and often their husbands. In fact, women in Western cultures like the U.S. have higher rates of postpartum depression because they are more likely to raise their children virtually alone. So a big part of prevention includes emotional connection to church, family, and neighbors. Likewise, people who reach out to new moms can make a big difference in their lives by bringing food, babysitting, or helping with the housework.
It's just the right thing to do. I feel better as a person helping out somebody else. They really appreciate it. Just those couple hours, it gives them a little reprieve that they can feel like they can do it all themselves again.
So while motherhood is a blessing, it's not always easy. But paying attention to how mom is feeling can avoid heartache for her and her baby. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, he went from valet to performing in front of millions. Hear the story behind the success of artist Jordan Feliz when we come back. Jordan Feliz is a Christian artist making his first appearance on the Winter Jam tour after making waves with his single, The River. I recently caught up with him just before he hit the stage in Nashville, Tennessee.
I know a place where we can go to lay the troubles down, eating your soul.
You were an automobile valet before becoming a singer?
I was. It's actually pretty surreal to play here because I used to like park cars literally 2 blocks over here.
Are you serious?
Yep, yeah, and there were some nights when our lot would fill up where we'd have to park underneath the convention center. So I'd have to run to the convention center to get in. It's just crazy, man. It's pretty unreal, like to be like, oh yeah, I used to do that over there and now I'm here. This is just crazy.
So now you're on stage and you used to park cars
literally 2 blocks. Yep.
Washed by the water and rise up in amazing grace. Let's go down, down, down to the river.
You were voted New Artist of the Year in 2016.
Yeah.
That's a nice little stamp to begin.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. I did not see it coming at all.
In my life, took me from dusty roads into paradise. All of my dirt, all of my shame, drown in the streams that have made me born again.
So your sophomore project is called Future.
Yes.
It is coming out as you're on the Winter Jam tour.
Yes.
How are you feeling doing that?
Man, it feels awesome. I'm really excited about it. I'm super amped that we're getting to like pre-sale it out here, and we're getting to play a new song live. So I feel like people are able to just get like a little taste of what it's going to be like. The message is really just about the fact that we don't have to have fear, give in to fear, anxiety, stress, whatever we're dealing with in our lives, because the beautiful thing as believers that we have is that our future is found in the inheritance of God.
If you could speak to a young person and give them a word of encouragement who may not be able to find their way right now, not as blessed in their mind as you to have married, successful album, a child.
Man.
What would you say to them in terms of getting on track?
Well, I think one of the things that I would tell my younger self, which I guess is the person I'm talking to, is just don't sweat the small things in life. Make sure that your, mind and your heart are just constantly refreshed and in the right place, stay in the Word. I mean, that's a lot of advice, but, and I'm still learning how to do that.
That's a lesson I think we all continue to learn. Don't sweat the small stuff. The Winter Jam Tour continues right now through the end of the month, so you can catch Jordan on that tour. And of course, he's got new music. The next album is called Future. It is available this month, and you can purchase it wherever music is sold. And that all begins March 23rd. Be sure to grab a copy. Stay with us. There's much more of CBN NewsWatch coming up, and it's coming up right after this. And welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. The faith-based film I Can Only Imagine surprised critics at the box office over the weekend. It is the story of Bart Millard. He is the lead singer of the Christian rock band Mercy Me, and it tells the story of what led him to write the best-selling Christian single of all time, I Can Only Imagine. Now, that film nearly doubled its expected outcome, pulling in $7.1 million across North America. It finished third for the weekend behind the opening of Tomb Raider and Marvel's Black Panther. Now, recently, I had the chance to speak with actress Madeline Carroll about her role in the film.
They got to see who I was in God before they got to see me as an actress. So they said that's why they cast me. And so we had this beautiful conversation. I literally left and I said to my mom, Mom, it's okay if I don't get this, but I'm just so relieved and thankful to know that there are other people out there trying to do similar things as me in the industry. And so I just had this peace that I wasn't by myself. And I felt that I would work with them one day, even if it wasn't this. So then a few days later, I found out that I got the part, and I was so excited. And it really came to me at a time that I was really broken and depressed, and literally this time last year, I was going to quit. I wasn't going to act anymore. And then God just blew the door wide open and let me know that, no, you're still called here and this is still where I want you to be, despite what's, what you're seeing and what's going on. You're still meant to be here. And so for me, this film was more than just a fun, creative thing. It was God completely putting fresh air in my lungs to continue.
God putting fresh air in my lungs to continue. She's talking about being cast as the wife in that film. Well, it's time now for your Monday motivation, and I leave you today with a line from a song I grew up hearing, and it's been playing in my ear pretty much all day long. God will do it again. You may not know how, you may not know when, but God will do it again. So no matter what the issue you may be facing or needing to overcome, today is a great day to focus more on your God and less on your mountain. With that word, be sure to make this a marvelous Monday. Remember, you can always find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com, and we'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com, and of course, you can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make it a marvelous Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.